Hey there, guppies, and welcome back. Dota 2 continues, as does the Trent and Zyori podcast. We're back with episode number 164. We're well into September now, 2020, bright and early. I'm on the East Coast, visiting family, hanging out, and Trent is enjoying his second day off of no Omega League casting. And he's here to tell us all about it. How you doing, buddy? How you feeling?
Well,
I feel like it's been so long since we've talked.
It really has. It has actually been ages. I believe September 1st, we started casting Omega League. And then I don't even know how many series. I should look at the thing. It's at least 30, 35, I think, series or more for Omega League.
Whoa. I saw the document, and I didn't look at anyone else's name except my own. I had like 18, 17, and I was happy with that. I was like, well, all right, I casted a decent amount of Omega League. You did 30?
Yeah, I did 30 plus that. Plus, then I was double dipping with ESL Thailand, too, with Gabe.
Jesus.
So, oh, man, it was a good week.
Wow, dude, you went hard.
I mean, I was a little afraid of, I wasn't quite as panicky as everyone else about there being a tournament drought because let's be real, there's going to be tournaments. But I do agree that it's going to be a while until we have like another Omega level or even ESL 1 Thailand level. Like those kind of tournaments are few and far between, so I didn't want to like miss out on one for the other.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I was willing to do the double grind. But I was doing NA for Omega League, which would start at like 6 p.m. my time. And that would go until 12. And then I would nap for 2 hours and then start ESL 1 Thailand at like 2 or 3 each morning. And then we did 2 series of that. So I was doing 4 series of that a day.
Whoa. Look at you raking in the bucks, man. Holy shit.
Good. Yeah, it was really good. I felt like I was doing shift work. Now I can take a month off, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that's fair enough. I was just hanging out with one of my friends. She works 4 12s every week, so she has 3 days off. And she's like, it's pretty awesome, honestly. I feel like I'm on vacation all the time because you can string it together sometimes with holidays and you're just naturally, off in these 5-day blocks or whatever. But, wow, how's ESL been going? I kind of forgot about that tournament. I keep seeing updates of the coverage, but Omega League stole way too much of my focus.
Yeah, Omega League was 10 out of 10. You can't beat Omega League for what they had and what they did. It was very good. I had such a good time doing ESL 1 Thailand. Number one, I really enjoyed the commentary that they had. I don't know where the studio is. I'm not sure if it's like actually in Australia, but it was everyone who's in Australia was doing it.
Right. I saw Denog and all those guys, right?
Yeah, it was Denog, Poglet, and Fluke. I don't think I had any with MLP when he was on the panel, but I see he's also listed there, and QO was there too.
I forgot he was Australian. I saw MLP and was like, oh yeah, I might have thought that he was British. That might be my bad. Yeah, I think that's my bad.
Yeah, so yeah, it was really fun. I enjoyed working with those guys because we had like a couple conversations, like with like the little V-Mix onto the panel, and so that was fun. And the games, like maybe it was because I was casting NA for Omega League, where sometimes it was pretty one-sided a lot of the way through until we get to like the very end.
Mm-hmm.
But man, the games in ESL with Thailand were so sick. Like I think it's a little unfortunate how sick some of those games were. Some of the highlights thankfully made it to Reddit, like where they had this, the Dark Portrait from Grimstroke?
Mm-hmm.
They were going all in for a throne push when they were down on the side of Fnatic. And DJ got one of those Dark Portraits off, and it did like 60% of the Ancient's health. It was actually insane. So there's like 2 rapiers in the game also. Everyone's just on the throne, right? It's total fucking chaos on the throne. And this Dark Portrait, finally, they start pinging it. And they kill the Dark Portrait. But then Jabs sees the dead rapier from his, I think he had a PA that game. I can't even remember. But he hook shots onto the rapier, grabs it, and just beats the throne as clockwork for the last like 3 hits.
Jesus Christ. Well, with a rapier, I guess. That's what it comes down to. Wow.
Yeah. Jabs was on a whole other level. Like, as ESL does, like as talent, you get an MVP vote. And even though they lost in the lower bracket final, I actually still voted for Jabs as the tournament MVP because, we got to watch 4 of their series straight, which is a kind of an advantage in that regard because they were in the lower bracket from the very beginning. So, and I was only casting the playoffs. I watched some of the group stage, but I didn't cast any of it. So I was like really in depth for the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And Jabs was unbelievable, like beyond good this tournament.
So
not even close. In terms of an individual effort, I couldn't vote for anyone else after watching Jabs play.
That's all right. So he's the guy that's hot right now, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like dude, it was gross. Like his tiny performances. He was completely insane.
So I'm looking at ESL, and this is I had forgotten. It's only Asia and America, so they didn't do anything with Europe because Omega League had all those teams occupied. So the Asia prize pool was what 135K, and that ended on September 6th. And then America's that actually ended like a week ago, and that was 65K prize pool. So
yeah, I didn't do anything in the Americas.
Okay, so we've had a couple of tournaments, I guess, in America. Much smaller scale, but there's a little bit of prize money there at least.
I just looked at it and saw my name list. I was like, oh yeah, I did one emergency cast on a Saturday with Gareth. He needed someone. So I am actually listed there. Nice.
Yeah, I kind of felt bad turning to, because some of the games towards the end of Omega League, they needed extra casters, and I was sort of like, man, we sort of timed this vacation around. I thought I was going to be done casting, and now I can't really cast these, and it sucks to turn down games. I feel like it's very rare that I've actually had to say no to premium games, premium pay. Hey, do you want to do this? Sorry, I'm busy. That's like the first time in years that's happened to me.
I know. Isn't that just how it goes though? Like that's happened to you when we've been playing tournaments where it's like, okay, well there's gonna be like a couple games on the last day, but like we'll just grab someone. Yeah. And suddenly you're just like, what do you mean you guys you can't cast? Like,
yeah,
I didn't have this many scheduled games.
Yeah.
Like, I was just, every time I was the last minute resort, Kyle's like, yo, Trent, can you go like produce the stream? Like B-Cop, unfortunately, he was moving and his internet came late. So then I had to like do even the main production for a couple series out of nowhere. And then I had to fill in for people who weren't showing up for their games and yada, yada, yada. So it was a very busy month.
That's a bummer. Mercenary Trent. Production Trent steps in. Analyst Trent steps in. I even heard some play-by-play Trent had to show his face, right?
He was all there, man.
Wow. Look at you. The jack of all trades. You're going to put me out of a job soon, buddy.
Yeah, I'm trying. It was Trent, go downstairs right now. I had 20 minutes notice to set up all the overlays while I was cooking dinner. So I finished dinner, served the kids, begged my wife to forgive me, left, went downstairs, set up the overlays in like 15 minutes. And then of course, I'm doing the overlays the whole time, so I don't have a co-caster. And then I see Caps in the chat. So I'm like, hey, Cap, you want to be a co-cast for game one from your hotel room? So I had exhausted Cap, who sounded like this the entire game. Because he'd been casting like 4 best of 3s that day, or at least awake.
He's also in a fucking hotel room. You can't just scream at your wall and not expect anything bad to happen. I mean, damn. Whew. Well, you made it happen, though. That's what matters, buddy. That's what everybody remembers, is that you came in the clutch. It doesn't really matter how or what the circumstances were. You did it. There was a stream. You had Dota TV audio.
I forget where I heard this, but I heard it pretty early in my esports career. And it was the idea of that to make it in esports, you need to be 2 of 3 things. You either need to be really good, like as in like really technically good at whatever your profession is. Mm-hmm. You need to be reliable. And you need to be funny. But you only need 2 of the 3. If you're good and funny, no one gives a shit if you're reliable because they're still going to keep hiring you because you're really good.
Right.
If you're reliable and funny, then people are like, oh, okay, whatever, At least he'll be there. And luckily, I am all 3, thankfully. But you actually only need 2 to get started. So.
No, I think you're right. We used to say there was like a watered-down version of that. Like you either needed to be really nice and likable and pleasant to work with, or you needed to be really, really good at your job. And if you're both, then you're like the dream employee and everybody wants to hire you. And if you're neither, you're basically impossible to work with. And you can kind of get away with one or the other, but it's got to be pretty extreme. If you're incompetent, you got to be real fucking friendly. The yes man only takes you so far if you can never deliver. So it's always a balance. But there were extremes on that other side I think we've all worked with where they're douchebags, but there's no denying that they're really, really good at what they do.
Yeah, 100%. That's why they get to stick around.
Right, and command the buku bucks, as they say. I've been thinking about that terms. I saw Merlini tweet that. I don't know if you saw that little poll. I love that Merlini tweets about linguistic stuff. He said, have you heard of the term buku bucks before? Yes or no?
Now, mind you, those tweets are only because of shot bets with Grays.
Well, I know that. Yeah, that adds to the mental, I laugh every time. Oh, God. I had heard that term, though. I remember my parents saying that growing up, though I don't know exactly what it means. I guess it's just a lot of money.
Like boku bucks?
Buku. It's like bonkos, This guy's bonkos. Regis Philbin
Well, like
style.
beaucoup is a French word for like more, or like many.
Oh, it's French. Yeah, my dad just yelled that in the background. It is French. See? The older generation's educated on this stuff. Us youngins don't know what the fuck's going on. So how was your Labor Day, bud? Do you guys do Labor Day in Canada?
I went to the cottage. Yeah, we do it.
You went to the yeah.
It's
Okay.
a holiday here too.
I see. That's nice.
Oh yeah.
Was
It
the
was really
cottage
good.
nice and distant? Do you guys have like a pretty big area? Do you share the lake though, right? Do you have close neighbors?
Yes and no. No one else. It's not like a heavy boating lake or anything. There's not like we'll see sea-doos come every once in a while to our part of the lake, but not really. We actually kind of have the perfect spot where it's actually a really large lake, but there's an island that used to be attached to the property that was purchased by the family, and so we actually own the island, but it also creates like a visual barrier from the rest of the lake too. It's pretty perfect. It's great.
Huh. That sounds nice. I was at one of the yuppie Jersey shores the week before Labor Day, so it was actually pretty empty. Like I saw all these pictures starting the day that we left, and the beach was pretty jam-packed. But I don't know, the beach seemed pretty okay when there's not that many people there. You just take your unit and you set up a spot, and everyone else's spot's pretty fucking far away, and there you go, man.
That's good.
You're Golden Richards. It felt fairly safe, as weird as it is to say that I just spent a week on the beach, given the current climate, you know.
I grew up doing the beach quite a bit when I was really young, until I was like probably like 12 or like 13, and I kind of stopped going to the beach as much. 'Cause there was one like sort of near where we lived, and we'd go and like camp at a place. And I gotta say, lake water versus beach water. Lake water is like I could never go back to the ocean. Can't stand the ocean.
Yeah.
You have to hose off every time. You're all sandy. There's razor clams cutting your feet. Dead seals when you go for a walk.
It's it's a whole thing. I used to kind of hate the beach when I lived in Jersey. When I was a kid, every summer I kind of be like, all right, it's a beach day, and it feels more like a chore. You're sticky all day. That car ride home, you're just sunburned and miserable. And
how cold is that water on the Atlantic too?
Yeah, it was like 73 Fahrenheit when we were there, so that's not that bad. That's like I think that's pretty peak, and there were no jellyfish too, which was also fantastic. So we swam a little bit, but when you don't have it, right? I've been living on a mountain for 4 or 5 years or whatever. Now it's like, hey, beach week. I don't know, the beach is kind of cool. All of a sudden, it's nostalgic. You know, I'm getting ice cream like a child, and well, there's a vibe at the beach. You know, there's something about it. It was nice to get out of the house. I'm glad we did this road trip. I guess for those that don't know, like a week ago, my roommate and I did. It was 27 hours, Trent, direct Denver to Philly, trading off. Yeah, straight shooter. You know, we stopped for coffees and urination and whatnot, but no rest for the wicked, baby.
I've always thought that I would find it very strange. Now, did you live like near the ocean in New Jersey?
An hour away. So there's like shitty beaches. So if you picture New Jersey, it's actually a peninsula. So it separates Delaware and Pennsylvania, and it goes all the way up, and then New Jersey is connected to New York. So it's the Atlantic on the east side, and then where it borders the rest of those states, it becomes an estuary.
So it's actually warm.
Well, no. Well, some people do, but I think they're shittier. Most of the Jersey Shore is on the Atlantic side, but the estuary is also, it's like the estuary is where saltwater meets freshwater.
Yeah.
So it's a little different. So there's beaches everywhere, but the good ones are east side. Cape May, Avalon, Stone Harbor.
I've always thought it would be strange to live near the water. I kind of felt it a little bit in Colorado, but I was so busy staring at mountains the whole time, I didn't really notice that often.
Yeah, right?
Like, it's such a different world there, man. It actually looks like some Lord of the Rings shit sometimes, especially right where you guys were. I felt like there was always just giant mountains in the distance.
Dude, if you thought that was Lord of the Rings-esque, you need to go to New Zealand, because that shit is on a...
Yeah, I think that's the whole point.
So anyway, I guess we want to circle back. What do you want to talk about? What's the order of operation here? You want to go Omega League, or do you want to talk about this big Dota update, or do you want to talk about cosmetics? Those are kind of like our 3 big pillars we're diving into today, and each very different from the other.
I'm down to just go Omega League.
All right.
I feel like it's not going to be that long of a discussion, and you guys probably have all.
It's true.
I assume everyone's kind of watched it because, frankly, it was insanely popular.
Kind of what I thought. So I thought we'd talk sort of more broad stroke stuff, maybe focus in on the finals. Secret, once again, 3-0, domination. You know what my first thought was? Because I didn't watch them live. I watched the VODs this morning and was looking at them on Dota Buff. When I looked at the results, I went, holy shit, they played OD and they rolled with it. I can't wait to rub that in Trent's face. And then I looked at the opposite side and I was like, this is such a prime OD. This is game 2. Such a prime OD game. It was like Troll, Omni, Tusk, like all these heroes
It is
that
a
just
really good OD game.
It was so perfect. And I saw the highlights and yeah, Nisha kind of popped off a bit.
Well, my good friend, unfortunately what you missed is that I have been talking about OD.
Oh no. I haven't listened to any of your shit.
ESL 1 Asian games, all right? And these games are coming out, and every time the draft's happening, I'm just talking to Lyrical, I'm just like, now this is the part in the draft where I used to just talk about OD the whole time. And you have all these things in your head about OD and why it's a good OD game and blah, blah, blah. And finally, we also got one in game 4, facing elimination. Boom went for the OD. And listen to this OD game. They picked OD after they could already see an Abba, a Morphling, an Underlord, and then a support Windranger.
Holy shit, dude! That is also so
Abba,
prime.
Morph, Underlord. It was such a good OD game.
Oh.
And they tried to like counter with a Pugna in the end, but I don't think the Nether Ward ever went off.
I mean,
I actually can't remember him ulting Nether Ward.
Peksu was kind of right. I mean, Dendi also said the same thing in the last podcast I did with him. Like, I get that OD is not like a first pick meta hero, but the way the hero's designed, there are still really good OD games and the hero's playable in those conditions. And we've definitely seen that finally.
Yeah, that's the best way to put it. For sure. I will
Super
say that
situational.
the Nisha went for the Ags build, which we did not get from Makoto. He went for well, I guess he had to go like BKB and MKB because he was facing a. So what Gabby did, this was a really sick adjustment. So after they picked the OD, Gabby actually rushed Manta into Aghanims on the Morphling, and then he was copying Tim's on the Windranger so that he would have like almost permanent wind run because of the reduced casts and everything.
Oh, okay.
So he was like with the cooldown reductions and stuff.
That's
so he was
pretty
basically like
dope.
always wind running with a quickening charm. And then he actually got the spell prism too for the 20% CDM.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Okay.
but OD went MKB like second item after BKB. Even though
And
the hero
then,
hates it, he recognized what he was gonna do.
Has Arc Warden still been relevant? Was he played a lot
yes.
in the was banned a lot, I guess, in the European playoffs?
I think it continued. There was definitely like at least 3 days where he was in like every draft where it kind of became flavor. Ever since was it 5 men who won that game versus someone? 5 men won some game with Arc Warden, and then it got banned a lot. I think that was near like the end of the playoffs, maybe.
It all blurs together. I remember seeing highlights of it, but I don't recall the exact circumstance.
Then later on, I think the only team where I even saw it was like EG that I can really recall. So yeah, not super common. He got banned a lot in the second phase. That's where I started seeing him a lot. Nigma played him a little bit again, of course, with their epic hold over Alliance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that
bubbling
was
that poor throne.
That was a little painful to watch, dude. Those are the moments where like Arc Warden is, I think, one of the peak, just like, God, how is this a hero kind of things? You know, like when you get blown up by Techie's mines or all that kind of shit. Same exact mentality of like, this feels like not Dota. And that shit is so peak Arc Warden. It's unbelievable. He's so... I just want to use bad words to describe him that I can't say anymore.
Yeah.
But
I kind of wish that melee heroes just weren't impacted by it. I feel like that would... Is that too hard of a nerf?
You'd have to give it something else, I think, to compensate. Yeah,
But like
that's
the idea
pretty
that like
brutal.
Roche can't be it because like you can make it so Roche can't hit you, right? That kind of stuff.
And I see what you're saying. I don't deny it's a little busted, but I think if you just took that away for half the heroes, let's say, eesh, that's brutal.
Well, what's funny though is that like even in that game they actually had 5 ranged heroes. So then I was thinking, what if you were the Morphling and then you copied into like a melee hero?
I mean,
but yeah,
your head's in the right place. You got to think creatively to try to deal with Arc. How did EG look? That was another one. I, was on holiday, so I sort of caught highlights. I wasn't watching full matches. It was also a little early for my taste.
Well, I was also sleeping through Europe to
right.
cast NA and Southeast Asia. So
and
I
reference
on that as you are.
EG sort of specifically because are they an NA team? Are they officially an EU team now that they're playing in EU? Are they going to come back to NA once lockdown ends? What if lockdown doesn't end for another year or something? Is EG just committed to that region now?
I would assume that they should be migrating everyone there as much as they can. Because it just makes the most sense for that team.
I mean,
I think
agree.
like if I was Quincy Crew, I would try and do the same thing. I'm not saying they're on the same level as all the teams in Europe, but we know that they can take down EG.
I think if given the choice, if you could just teleport and have all your shit in another location, yeah, Europe would definitely be a more desirable place to play, even just for training conditions. I mean, you got to imagine the scrim culture is a little more active in Europe than it is in North America right now.
To me, it just seems like the most likely place to get the first LAN is going to be Europe, and your best bet of being there is just getting there now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. Hedge your bets on quarantine stuff and just get there early.
I mean, it's definitely not going to be NA. So,
I mean, yeah, you're actually not wrong. That's a pretty accurate take.
And you don't want to be the guys that can't get in. So,
and
that's what I would be doing But of course, they're unsponsored teams, so you would have to take basically all your winnings from these tournaments. I mean, they just won 28K in ESL Thailand, America. To be fair, though, Quincy Crew, Jack, get on it.
Yeah, I mean that sounds like a lot of money, but it's kind of not. I mean, $1,500 a flight for 6 people. All right, that's already eaten into a pretty big chunk of your winnings.
But if you're in Europe, can you get a sponsor?
Ooh,
right.
Now that's a thought. Holy shit, is it worth the investment just to break into the region so that you can unlock the next? It is true. A lot of the tier 2 European teams have a decent amount of sponsors relative to any of the NA teams.
Yeah, I wouldn't be. Costrad says, I wouldn't be surprised if NIP dropped the current squad and acquired QC. What if he just started calling those teams? Yo, guys, how about this? Dump your roster, fly us to Europe.
Hey, singularity. Listen, I've got a. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of teams in that category that would be an interesting value proposition. The wheels are turning in my head right now. Like, I don't know what that would do to NA though. If Quincy Crew leaves North America behind EG, and then the 4 Zoomers leave North America behind Quincy Crew, we're really fucked, man.
Well, I think as long as there's still NA teams playing in Europe, I actually think that'd be kind of good for the region. I don't think them playing
if they come back
doing that good.
If they come back, yeah, but it's a scary long-term investment because in the meantime, NA is just like underwater. There's no tier 1.5 that's comparable to the others. What did you think about the MVPs? I noticed both MVPs were from Nigma. The core was Miracle. Support was GH. I guess I should probably ask, is this fan voted or is this committee elected?
I'm pretty sure it's fan voted, but I don't actually know.
Okay, if it's fan voted, then that answers all the questions I had about it. So there you go. I mean, two fantastic players, but it is always a little strange to see both players on a third-place team get MVP. It's like they had to play really, really fucking good to make a case compared to teams that were in the grand finals. I would say that
I'm trying to find a source on the MVP stuff, but I don't see one, so I'm not sure.
Twitch chat. Surely you were watching and they said it. What did Richard Campbell say?
What did Rich say? What did he tell you?
So is Rich retiring, by the way? What was that? I heard people talking about that. There was chatter in Sniff Central, but
yes, he's going full streamer.
He's going full streamer, so he's not going to do events. Man, bunch of y'all motherfuckers.
He's been saying that for like a couple. I think it's been public for like a month and a half now, or maybe 2 months. It's been a while.
Why does being a full-time streamer negate you from working the occasional contract event?
If you lose too many subs. Like
Even
he lost thousands of subs doing this event, and he was still streaming some days.
Yes, so this event is, dare I say, like retarded in terms of how intense it is with its scheduling and commitment. Very seldom to work a gig like this are you committing a month of your life living in another location and working whatever he was, 8-hour days, 10-hour days. I don't know what his schedule was. If you're invited to host the BlizzCon and you say, hey, my schedule's really busy, you go to the event, you do some IRL streaming, and then you host the finals, or you work 2 days of the event, it's in North America, then you fuck off and go home and keep streaming. This event is a bad example compared to the norm. Even Dota Pit, when we would go, it's what, an 8-day commitment, 9-day commitment. It's a lot.
I think that's like too long for streaming, though.
Yeah.
But do we have 2 or 3 day events in the foreseeable future, though?
I guess I'm under the impression that he has enough clout to be able to say, yo, motherfuckers, I can't commit to the whole thing, but you can fly me in for 3 days and I'll host your grand finals, Is that not cool? Is that just not worth it? I guess.
I don't know if that's necessarily on the tables. It made it sound like that's not even on the table for him. I think he just wants to stream. I think it's a part of just being happier doing
a preference thing. Yeah.
Yeah, he's moving to Texas, so which I think is where Asmon is someone saying too.
Better taxes, dude. Way better tax. No state taxes on income there.
What?
I think so. I'm pretty sure if it's
Alberta
not zero,
shit going on. Goddamn oil, man. What is it with these oil places?
Almost none. Texas income tax. I'm gonna Google it. Oh, okay. Oh, they have sales tax and property tax, but I don't think they have an income tax. In their Texas Constitution, it forbids personal income taxes. How about that?
That's hilarious.
They have high sales taxes and high use taxes instead.
And property tax. I mean, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's cool. I mean, I wish him all the best. I personally think all in on the streamer life is... It has like diminishing returns where it's amazing, but it's hard to keep the momentum because you always have to one-up yourself, which is challenging and draining, and I think it's easy to become burned out.
Definitely, yeah.
And I felt it on a micro scale. Like, I've been streaming a lot before this trip. I was up to like 70 subs. I'm down to 35 because I haven't streamed in 2 weeks or whatever. And you look at that and kind of go, oh, was this vacation worth it? I don't know. Some of those people probably would have stuck around. A lot of those are Prime subs. That's why the big drop-off hits. It's the Prime subs that you're manually getting people to reapply. And, yeah, it's a lot of income, you know. So if that's what he wants to do, man, I hope he does it and I hope he succeeds. I like Rich.
Him.
Me too. Yeah, that's why I'm a little bummed. It's one of those things. I'm happy for my guy if that's where he wants to be, but I'm also a little bummed because that means I'm probably not really going to be working with Rich in the near future. Zero chance, unless he wants to do a World of Warcraft collab or something. I don't see that happening.
Yeah.
Hey, buddy.
Yeah, it's too bad, man. But I guess in terms of the rest of that production from WePlay, though, for the Omega League, pretty insane.
Yeah.
Everything I saw was so good. Again, unfortunately, I had to sleep through a lot of Europe, so I tried to like catch up as much as I could because I was doing NA and C stuff at the same time. But all the content stuff I saw was amazing. The Dota busted things with Lizard and Kyle and me dying. Odie's rap video.
Mm-hmm.
Damn. That was within 24 hours to make that thing after the Kia LEC from League of Legends, which, by the way, if you guys don't think that Kia LEC thing was impressive, then I don't know what to tell you. That thing was fucking insane.
I didn't even see it. I didn't even realize that was there was. I missed it. I feel like a boomer right now.
I'm gonna just link it to you, and I'll.
Fantastic.
It was an extremely impressive video. Like, this is the power of having so many employees working on this shit. But oh yeah, I'll link it in the chat too. And then Owen was sick.
Oh, okay. Damn. Kia Motors. That's a pretty big sponsor.
Yeah. I don't even know how much money they put in this video. It's super sick.
I'm actually surprised it only has 500,000 views.
Yeah, that's kind of surprising.
Oh, that's cool. Good for Shocks. That's pretty awesome. It's nice.
Yeah, you can tell she's done dance training before. It's really
definitely.
funny.
Yeah.
And all the other guys have not, but they're just like in the background.
But it's cool. Like we're finally starting to see these really creative esports activations like pay off. You know, the equation has changed from how do we get sponsors into esports? It's how do we make sponsors stand out in esports? And I think shit like this is right up that alley. That's pretty cool. Man, look at those sick cars though.
I mean, yeah, you can call it lame and campy or whatever, but you can't deny it's fucking impressive. I don't know. And Owens was sick, though. Owen then writes that rap in 24 hours and makes that thing.
The production of the video is sick. It's like it's well made or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, it's super impressive.
Well, it's cool to see those crossovers with these like real lifestyle brands and then, you know, specific esports talent and stuff. I think that's pretty neat. In terms of the production, though, yeah, I mean, they've really taken, you know, there was a period where everybody knew about the API and the game state interface, the GSI, if you will, and what you can do with it. You know, you can create this live feed of data, and like Dream League were the first ones to really do it, you know, where they make that draft screen. That's like an interface that they made from the API that they rebuilt to have all those graphs and shit. And I feel like WePlay's taken that and then really refined it. and they like remember when PGL was doing it where it was like information overload. They were sort of under this like more is better type production principle, and then we realized, all right, we want, don't fuck with it that much. Don't take all this shit off the screen. Don't rearrange stuff. Like it makes it harder to follow when you move too much stuff around. I don't want too many numbers. I want key specific numbers at specific moments where those numbers are relevant. And I think WePlay is doing that very well. Like they had a decent amount of betting advertising that felt very integrated, really not that intrusive and just kind of seamless. You know, they're getting into that kind of UFC vibe with their production where it's just this great show that flows from start to finish. It's impressive. There's no doubt they've got some talented people over there putting their production together. I mean, from the set to the actual like animations and design of the production package to the creative side of all the different ways they're presenting the show with all these different segments. It's
the thing that stood out to me the most was that it seems clear that they listened to talent ideas for this.
Yes, 100%.
That looked like the way of a panel that I would want to do things. Like the draft panel. I'll turn my light on so I'm not as creepy for you guys. The idea of the draft panel being there, plus like the normal panel, it's so much easier to work in that atmosphere.
Yes.
Like, oh my God. The idea of like being all funny and goofy and then instantly switching into like kind of serious draft mode, it never works. Like some people will make the switch and other people just can't physically do it. Like Slacks should not be there during a draft. He doesn't want to be there during a draft. Like every once in a while, sure.
Yeah.
But his value before a draft is just like so good that I would rather put him there and make him sit on the draft because I want him in the in-between because people are going to come for the draft. They don't want to stay in between the games.
Yeah.
And that's what Slacks is extremely good at doing. So when you do this like funny panel and content panel and draft panel, it's better for everyone. The only downside is you have to hire more talent, but obviously,
yeah. I was gonna say it's better for everyone except the person writing the checks. I think they definitely have to pay a premium for that, but everything else, totally agreed. It makes a much better product for the viewers, and it's just a better story. You know, it presents. Dota's fucking complicated, man. It's very nuanced, and we're realizing that there's a pretty high skill cap in how you tell the stories of what's happening in the games.
Yeah.
And like Starladder used to be guilty of that back in the day. I remember casting Starladder events, and they would just throw these giant numbers up on the screen, and we're looking at it like, I don't think these numbers make any sense. I don't know
like the big pentagons and all that crap.
Yeah,
dude.
and like some of these stats of like lifetime.
Host 4.
They had like their own Dota. It was like a local Starladder server that had all this data, but it got all jarbled and none of it made sense. Like Puppy has a lifetime win rate of 93%. Like, no, he doesn't. That's not possible. Well, what are you talking about? I don't know what the number is, but I know it ain't that.
Yeah, well, but just because you mentioned that, did you see Knoxville posted the current iteration of Secret's win rate?
Oh, I did
those
not.
5
I'm
players,
look it up,
it's 82%.
What? That sounds unbelievable, but I know
That's
it is
insane.
Because it is. This is a dynasty, dude. Aren't we? Where are we moving into dynasty territory with Team Secret? Is that a fair word to use?
I kind of had this discussion with Lyrical. I think it was in between games, so I don't think this was on air. But we were talking about like all of a sudden the stability has kind of hit. Like, is it because of OG and like those guys winning TI twice that we've managed this? But think about Enigma. Think about Secret. Like these core rosters are staying together for so long. And before that, the only other team I can remember doing it was Fnatic. With like No Tail, ironically, much like OG, and Fly, like that whole like Trixie and all them. They were together for like a long ass time.
Mm-hmm.
But who else was like together that long, you know? I guess Alliance too.
Dendi and those guys on Navi. Like, I mean, towards the end they started cycling a lot, but they were a pretty stable fixture for a while. I would say Alliance kind of checked that box for a decent amount of time with Loda and Ake and a few others being that stable kind of force behind the team, but there aren't many examples.
But like, and then we have like Liquid, obviously that current iteration. They've been together for a long time.
Yeah, the previous Alliance squad now hopping orgs to be Liquid. Yeah, that's true. But yeah,
I like it. That's for sure. I love the stability. It's kind of what we always wanted, at least when I first started watching Dota. I remember that was the biggest complaint by far. Everyone always used to say, and people probably still say this, but it must be fading now, was, I'm a fan of this player. I'm not a fan of this team. I remember
Yes.
everyone viewed Dota like you're a fan of a player because you never knew how long they were going to be on a team for.
Well, that was like the Eternal Envy thing. You know, I'm not really a fan of any of Envy's teams, but I'm a fan of whatever team Eternal Envy's on. I think he is maybe the perfect example, the epitome of that dynamic, because he's just made up all these NP and all this stuff that they've just kind of been recycled and thrown away, and you just, you know, it's kind of like Demon a little bit. He's been on so many teams that if he joins a team, you're kind of like, this isn't really a great sign for the longevity of this team. If I were a betting man, kind of thing. Man, so when are we going to be able to make this case for Nisha best player all time, dude? I talked about this 2 years ago, and I talked about it a year ago, and my prediction's looking pretty good here. I'm going to go back and make an epic video of fucking called it. He just needs to win a TI, dude.
Does he have? He must have the highest individual win rate, does he?
That's an interesting question. He's got to be a contender because he just showed up and started winning. Well, he played on a lot of shitty teams, though. He was on team Let's Do It for 4 iterations before joining Secret.
Yeah, he was on the Polish stacks.
Yep, Exotic Deer, Paytos, Kesor, and El Lesage. That was their roster for a while.
Yeah, but he never went to LAN. So if it was LAN win rate.
LAN win rate,
then you have Ana.
Yes, but like
LAN win rate.
matches in dat Dota, I don't think his win rate is like clearly the highest.
What's Anna's lifetime LAN win rate? I wonder. And Thompson too. Yeah, I mean they must have stupid ones, obviously.
Yeah, and it you know, it's hard to judge because it's like, how do you weight OG winning 2 TIs, but then they look a little dumpy online right now? It's like, I still feel like jerax was such a key piece. When of course he was. Anytime people talk about OG now and their glory, I can't get over if jerax were still on the squad, I would feel very good about current OG. Without him, I just don't think this team is the same. Not that the current roster's bad by any stretch, but jerax is like an MVP type player. He's like a potential GOAT contender in my book as well. Is that unfair? Would you put jerax in a GOAT discussion, let's say? Would he make the polls to vote on?
Be there, but again, I think it comes back to this idea of how much do you want to value TI.
Yeah.
I think jerax's story is one of the most interesting, for sure. Like this whole idea of him like going to Korea and everything and playing on MVP Hot 6 and like then coming back, and then the grind of Earth Spirit and like regaining his fame streaming that hero. I remember watching those jerax streams. I can picture his like dinky little webcam with like a curtain behind him on a sofa-looking chair.
I know exactly.
I remember watching so many of those streams, and then to eventually become a 2-time TI winner is quite fascinating. I don't know. GOAT is like it requires so much, and I don't know if I value TI as much as I value that insane consistency from some other players. But yes, I would have to put him in my discussion for sure.
Yeah, and I think I might be overvaluing retiring while you're on top. You know what I mean? It like you look at his book is closed a little bit. You know, like he finished but he won the second one. If he had retired after the first one, I'd call that a coward's escape. Retired after the second one's like, you know, I don't think I'm gonna win a third. I don't have the drive anymore. I'm closing the book instead of watching myself decline.
I don't actually think he's a coward.
But like I love that. That to me feels so GOAT worthy, although it does seem a little counterintuitive of like Puppy's still fucking playing and winning golds. So that should probably be weighted a little more than jerax finishing his memoirs. I want the jerax memoirs though. I'd buy it.
I don't know. The hardest thing about talking about like the greatest player and everything is this idea of just like our attention in each region and how it's like China's never going to get a fair shake from Western audiences. And I try
100%.
to do my best.
100%.
I really do. Like, I love watching Chinese Dota and everything, but you can't see it all at the same level that you can just see shit in your own time zone. You know, I got to sleep when China's on. I'm just not going to see as many of their games. And so
10,000%.
innately, you don't get that same perception of it.
Yeah, and I think it's equal but opposite. You know, I'm sure folks on that time zone know the nuances of the Chinese team so much better to be able to appreciate all this stuff. And yeah, there's too much Dota.
Some of our takes are so different.
Yeah,
they're probably just like, wait, you guys aren't even talking about maybe? What is? They're probably just all freaking out about the new 4 a.m. team and don't give a shit about Omega League.
Yeah.
I mean, they're basically getting their team secret, right? Like that original team secret is happening right now in China.
Is that's an interesting analogy. What is the actual roster? I gotta look it up here.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can find all 5 of them.
Has it not been formed yet? Are they still forming? Is it just rumors right now?
I think the confirmed ones that I know of are Eurus, Somnus, FY, and Fade, right? I think Fade's part of that, but I don't know who the 3 is because the original rumor a month ago said KP.
Whoa.
But I don't think it's KP.
That's some pretty stacked. God, I miss international Dota so much.
Yes.
I miss watching Chinese team. God, I keep thinking back to the last Dota pit we went to, the LAN. I think it was that minor, and it was the one that, I don't know if they were Liquid or Alliance then, but I think Insania's team, did they win? Do you remember?
Oh, you're thinking of Dota pit, right?
I'm thinking of Dota pit. The last time we were in Croatia. I know you were, but like, I remember feeling like that event, that it was really like the top 3 teams that mattered, and the bottom 5 were all pretty dumpy.
I think it was NIP and Alliance in the grand final, and then Alliance like 3-0'd them or something.
That sounds right, I think. I might have it inverted. But either way, it's like, God, I appreciate that so much more, even just being able to see, like, whoever, was it eHome?
NIP won 3-2 over eHome. It was NIP beat Alliance 2-0 in the upper bracket, and then eHome 2-0'd Alliance.
I was confusing NIP with...
yeah, and then
with
NIP
Alliance.
beat eHome in the final. My bad.
Okay.
Oh, that's right, because Claire won that, and then he got kicked. Yes.
Yeah.
Because Claire was coaching for NIP that time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And then they went to the major. Yeah. That's
but still, it's like just being able to see even tier 2 Dota, but cross-regional is, I will never take that shit for granted again. You know, like regional Dota is cool. It's fine. Top teams playing top teams is awesome. But China versus Europe, it's like, what's going to happen? They have completely different styles, totally different hero pools. How are they going to match up? It's just objectively more exciting, even if the quality of play is lower. God damn.
Oh, man.
Making myself sad. So, okay. Should we talk about this Dota update? Anything else you need to say about We Play? I'm not going to ask my question. Everybody knows what question I want to ask. I've got another point. They did commit to more money.
Yeah, another season.
So it's bigger than just that, though. I think it's $10 million in prize pools split across Counter-Strike and Dota 2 over it's like 12 to 15 events. I don't think they've exactly decided how many over the course of like a year and a half or something. It's like 2021, 2022, and whatever else. So obviously some flexibility there, but pretty substantial financial commitment. That is just prize pool with no matching from Valve. So they're committing to $15 million events plus 10 minimum, you know?
Thank you.
So yeah, I guess so. I kind of don't know what to say. Those are staggering numbers.
I guess Kyle's not leaving Ukraine anytime soon.
Yeah. I think he might just emigrate at this point. And apparently now esports has been recognized in Ukraine as an official sport. And I just saw news this morning that Putin has now recognized esports in Russia and wants to start offering classes in school, like high school and stuff, for students to be able to do esports, as he says, with proper management. So the number one comment on Reddit was, great, another sport where Putin can force his athletes to cheat to look good on the global grand stage. Doping, Olympics.
Wait, really? Why would he care about esports? That seems strange.
Because it's international, dude. They want Russia to stand out on the international scale, and if all Russian teams start winning events like the international, it makes Russia look good. It's a great youth motivator to keep kids off drugs, man. It ends up being a much cheaper investment than drug rehabilitation when you look at the numbers of, $1 million prize pools here. $1 million doesn't go that far in terms of, healthcare stuff. So it's all a strategy, and I think it's reactionary, right? Ukraine does it. Russia doesn't want to left behind.
That's true.
It's an arms race of sorts in terms of technology. All
right. I'll say that. With that announcement, I'm getting my ass to Europe.
Yeah? You moving? You gonna ditch Canada?
No, not me. Fuck that. I mean, if I'm an NA player.
Oh.
Yeah. That would be my plan.
Are we finally going to start MOONDUCK EU? There were talks of this 5 years ago. We were thinking about it was going to be me, Buka, and my Portuguese artist, and we were going to get a house in either Hungary, Romania, or I forget what the last one was, but those were the big two. We're looking at Bucharest and Budapest, And we were going to set up basically exactly what we did in America. A little house, roommates, work from home, get the whole studio going. And we didn't do it. Turns out it's a real pain in the ass.
It turns out. Luckily, we have Owen and Cheever, so we'll just mooch off of that if the time requires.
We'll just
guys.
Crash at Cheever's. Couch surfing. Woo.
Thank you, Method. So from what he can find, the most recent rumor is Eurus, Somnus, Yang, FY, and then Red Panda is the 5.
Okay. He actually messaged me about that. He's very excited about this team.
I think everyone is. That roster looks insane.
Bettors rejoice. They're ready to make some money off of non-Chinese bookmakers that or sports books rather that don't really follow China that closely. Oh, a new stack? Oh, they can't be that good. That happens all the time, dude. Cross-regional Dota is where all the money's made. Oh, God. So, I guess good on WePlay. It looks like they're here to stay. I'm mostly excited about it. I guess for the last time, do we want to question where the money comes from? I read an article this morning that was talking about, it was on the Esports subreddit. It had a real kitschy title that was like the weird ethics of esports and the double standards. We really hate Saudi Arabia, but we give China a pass. And it's like, that's kind of weird. It's sort of like our thing with Google and Facebook. Please, Gmail, you can have my data. Facebook, I'm not watching a stream for free on your platform. Fuck you. That's my data. Why are we so weird about that? You know, we make these really hard stances, and it doesn't always seem consistent.
Yeah, I don't have a good answer for you. I guess some are way more complicated than others. Like, you're not directly advertising it. Like, I think the Saudi Arabia version was a little cut and dry. Like,
I would agree.
You're like directly taking a state sponsor in that regard.
Yeah, I'd say that's a pretty extreme example. But
whereas there's actually like millions of people in China who just want to be humans, you know?
And like, I think there's a difference between Facebook and Google as well, but I think we really amplify the differences, and you know, it's just not sexy to talk about the Uyghurs in China, but that's super fucked up and pretty on par in terms of, you know, crimes against humanity as what people are talking about, the NEOM using slave labor and displacing people and shit like that. So I don't know. It's just something I think we all need to be aware of thinking about these double standards. And we always need to ask, why is someone so eager to spend so much money on esports disproportionately to a lot of these other folks? It just always we have to ask that question. And maybe the answer's fine and that's good, but I think we still want to be in the habit of asking that question. You know, but hey, I'm a broken record. I'm becoming that old guy that's just sitting in his bedroom yelling the same things over and over. So
yeah,
I don't know how to balance that.
It's hard to tell. Yeah, I don't know. I'm guessing Paramatch just throws a lot of money. That's my thought for now.
Dude, so I'm actually curious about Paramatch now. They must service a shitload of action to Russia and CIS because Fnatic just switched betting sponsors. They dropped Rivalry and they just signed a 2-year deal with Paramatch that has to be worth a stupid amount. I mean, that's a millions of dollars. Yes. I doubt 8 figures. It can't be tens of millions, but it could be a multi-million-dollar deal. That's a big deal. Paramatch is making moves, man. Their marketing budget is up. So, and they are partners with WePlay, right? I think.
Yes.
So
they're like the big sponsor, I think.
Yeah.
That's one that's always initially listed for WePlay. So I just assume they're kind of the main sponsor, but we don't really hear about the sponsors ever on WePlay. Yeah. That's why I mean, you guys were asking like, why are we questioning them and not ESL? And like, well, guys, you ever watching the ESL tournament, dog? They have there's an ad after the draft before the game starts.
Yes.
They play an ad and they do Twitch ads. That's where the money comes from. It's pretty transparent.
Mercedes is paying for it. We know that. They just re-signed another deal. Yeah. It's Mountain Dew. It's that stupid amp beverage. We know it's not good for you, but, you know, at least we know what it is. We know where that money came from for the most part.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think with Paramatch, maybe the reason why they're not pushing the odds as much is because it's all about the data. You know, for those betting sites,
for sure,
having first-party access to the data in front of the delay, so they have, you know, a window there to fuck around with odds before people have access to it. That's very valuable, and the more matches they have, the more they can profit off of servicing that action. So that could be part of this investment. Is like it's it's more than just Paramatch as a sponsor. It's like they're using the data, and that helps them monetize the platform so they can afford to pay a premium to make the content possible. And it creates this web that allows WePlay to do a lot of shit.
It's kind of like a little, little ecosystem, right?
Yes.
We're paying you to make more games. The more games, the more bets. Everyone's happy. Symbiotic relationship.
Everyone's happy
happening here.
Except
I'm happy.
The people addicted to gambling. But, I guess it's just humans are humans.
Anyway.
Let's move on to the Dota 2 blog.
Move to EU. All right,
yes,
Zoomers?
I'm moving to EU. It's official.
Move to EU. I'm not moving, but
I don't
EU.
know. I'm about ready to move, dude. America is getting scarier by the day. I've been talking to my family about immigrating, and they're kind of like, "Oh, if you can make it work, I don't know, it doesn't sound that bad." So I'm starting to believe it might be an option here, bud. Just got to find a location. Who's got it figured out? Let's dive into this Dota 2 blog, because this is like
yes.
This is a juicy one. This is the Dota blog we've all been waiting for a pretty long time. And they broke it into 3 or 4 big chunks here. They talked about the spring, which we've just been through, and how they were pretty silent, essentially, because there were enough events going. Like, the gap was filled organically. We had this window where no physical events were taking place. ESL shifted to online. Dota Pit did something online. WePlay did something. And honestly, there was a decent amount of content across the regions, and it was cool. Now, the issue is a lot of those orgs sort of did that under the assumption maybe lockdown won't be that long. Maybe this will only be 3 months or 4 months. So it's worth it to invest in just doing something now fast. We're how deep? 8 months in or 7 months in? And
yeah, 6 or 7.
We're still pretty locked down. Still not great to travel if you're an American. A lot of places don't want you. You got to go to the doctor and get your butt checked. It's not fun. So, cool. It happened organically. I get it. So then summer, DPC's on hold. We're all wondering what's going to happen. And I think Valve basically, if I can summarize, said, well, yeah, we kind of thought that would continue. And then, there's been some events going on, and we've talked to some people, and they said that they're going to do more events. So, Europe and CIS and China, they'll have some tournaments. So we thought it'd be cool, but are bad for not really communicating anything. By the way, TI is going to be in 2021, probably in Stockholm /Shrug, Is that fair paraphrasing so far, or am I being too short?
Well, I was impressed that they admitted fault.
Yes,
they
said,
did. Yeah, we definitely screwed up. We probably should have been way more open about this, but I also understand that it's such an impossible situation. I have to say, I didn't take part in any of the discussion about this throughout the week, because I do think it's an insanely complicated issue for Valve because of the way that TI functions and the way those DPC points work. There's really no good solution, and everyone's acting like it's so easy to just restart DPC. Yeah. What are you gonna do with all those points from last year? Is it fair to just pay out based on points?
I do think that is a relatively fair solution given the pretty bad options that are on the table.
The other thing that I'd never thought of is they're talking about a decay, where they would decay the points of the previous DPC season, so you would still keep your points.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't be worth as much as they were, which is a pretty interesting solution. And then you'd still have to participate in this DPC, all still qualifying for the next TI.
I think it's a pretty classic ladder solution. Like Warcraft 3 used it for a lot of years. A lot of ladders use it to keep the ladder fresh, and it's like a relatively fair way to make sure people can't just... So like with World of Warcraft arenas, for example, there's an MMR system. With no decay, you just win 100 games. You go 90-10 at the beginning of the season, and you just sit there and camp. But
TNC won the first major in a guaranteed TI. They're like the poster boy team for the problem here.
Exactly.
Because that's supposed to be like, okay, now we're set for the year.
Right. And the cool thing about decay is it kind of brings in the time factor, because I think there is a time factor with Dota. The further away we get from these results, the less relevant they are, and the more likely teams will shuffle around a little bit.
Yes, 100%.
So I think that's the time sensitivity where I think business associates are the perfect example. Do you really think that team would still be together if they didn't have some DPC points that were in limbo where they don't know what's going to happen to them? I'm fairly cynical on that. Their results have been pretty mixed. I think they've had Envy and Snake King in for a little while. It's sort of and notice how they've done it, right? Very clever. It's not an official roster change. They are temporary stand-ins still. They're not really labeled as members of the team, I don't think, unless I'm crazy. Maybe they have finally come aboard. But all that stuff is like it puts business associates in a really weird spot to try to make decisions for their players, their org, whatever else.
Yeah, so I definitely feel for Valve in that whole discussion of like what the hell to do with the DPC. But I do agree they need to be way more transparent and maybe just like publicly talk about some of these thoughts that they're having and maybe
I mean,
probably
this is a
come to a decision
thing.
sooner, unfortunately.
Yes.
But the thing is, everything's just so insanely uncertain that no one wants to jump to anything and then be wrong.
Yes.
Like, you don't want to cut away all the points and then suddenly maybe everything's fine in like 5 months.
And
Extremely unlikely. Mind you,
No.
please do not think everything will be fine in 5 months, but that's the fear that they have.
And I think they were astute in mentioning that, even if we could do an event with players on site but no audience, it gets tricky with visas just like we had before where, well, what if one country is just excluded? So now we have 3 teams. Like, what if Malaysia's off the list for whatever reason? There's another outbreak and that whole country's locked down. Yeah. Now you have one player on 3 top teams that can't come to the event. For how many situations can you have that before it's not worth having the LAN event anymore? It only takes 1 or 2 countries because Dota is so global. Really hard to find a location to make that happen and make an event that's competitively viable when it comes to qualifying for the international. So it's really, really fucking hard. And I totally agree that you can't evaluate matches the same way when it's not an international event with every region represented and all of them going at it head to head.
Yeah, I'd be very curious if they maybe discussed with some of the teams their thoughts about just like culling that last season and just paying out points. But I'm guessing they all really just care about TI. So
yeah,
that's probably not an ideal option for a lot of them.
So good to get some communication. Unfortunately, it still isn't really much of a blueprint. So the next section, they do talk about moving forward and what's coming up next. They reassure us that they have been talking to third-party event organizers in some capacity and that there are several large leagues, would-be LAN event type ESL things in Europe, CIS, as well as China, and a few others that are still maybe being planned but haven't been exactly figured out yet. That's nice to hear, but I read that immediately when, okay, there's a couple regions missing from that list, Southeast Asia, North America, and South America. The fuck's going on there? Can we get some love and some coverage outside of these just like, yeah, we got 10% of the prize pool to play around and have a couple of the top teams do a quick little bracket. Nothing that I would call a league the same way we've seen in Europe and China. And it is a little scary that we're all just sort of sitting here. Uncertainty is the problem. And that's why I think a little bit of this is emotional. It's not that Valve has to be able to predict the future or, completely console us with a game plan, but little communication along the way, little reassurances go a long way in just making us feel like there's more certainty in the space. And,
Yeah, I was surprised by the mention of sponsoring some studios or like some organizers happening to financially cover events. That was impressive. I really hope that comes through. That can make a massive difference.
It seems really open-ended. I did hear from a couple of people in those regions outside of Europe and China that said that they did get an email and it was very open-ended, just kind of like, hey, send us a proposal of what you're looking for and we'll talk about it and see what's viable. So a lot of this is very open-ended. Wow. But very cool. I think that's exactly the kind of stuff. We need something to replace these online DPC leagues that we're supposed to be starting like right fucking now. They should be going on right now. And when you look at America, it's like, yeah, that 50K here from BTS is cool. That 50K from ESL is cool, but that doesn't replace the 400,000 or whatever it was supposed to be for uppers and lowers combined, or 350,000.
Yeah. That's the thing I think it was the most disingenuous and frustrating about this conversation. Just like the online leagues could happen right now. It's like well, the online leagues served a function. They served a function to send people to TI and to send people to majors, to which then they competed for more TI points. So like, what are you going to do? Just get rid of the LAN thing? And now we're just going to have a TI decided by online Dota where South America's playing on 150 ping every single game?
Yeah.
Like, how's that fair?
Yeah. It's like South America is really struggling as well. It's not just NA. I focus more on that region because I know more about it, but
yeah, so it's not as simple as just starting up those DPC leagues. Sure, maybe you can be like, well, Valve doesn't have money, they can just start them and pay prize pool and not give DPC points.
Yeah.
There might be logic to that argument. That I will not disagree with. But But the idea of it just suddenly like being DPC as we go is just nonsense to me.
Yeah, there needs to be some. I agree. It needs to be structured. Right now, we just need something to fill the gap. We need a little caulk. We need some putty. We got to patch it up, and then we'll rebuild the foundation next year. We just got to keep her from falling apart right now. And hey, no, I'm cautiously optimistic for Midas Mode 3. Who knows? Maybe the frog's feeling spicy, and we can talk him into supporting Dota's craziest meme tournament. The sky's the limit, Trent. That was another thing that I thought when I read this. Like, all right, Valve, how hard do we want to go here? Are we going to bring in an official elimination mode to fruition? That would be pretty cool.
We do need elimination mode.
That's
actually.
a pipe dream.
All I keep thinking about is how much I love elimination mode.
Yeah. The problem with our stupid game modes, we could probably make more money if we ran Captain's Draft tournaments, because we've accidentally burned too many betting sponsors. We've had a lot of them come in swinging some big dicks going like, oh, elimination mode. We'd love to serve action on that. And then people look at it and they lose so much money doing live odds on these stupid game modes because they don't have algorithms that can accurately predict this shit that's never existed before. It's a weird balance where there is a demand for the action, but it's really hard to accurately assess relative to
the only time the house
Dota.
Loses.
Exactly,
elimination
dude.
mode.
Dude, but they know that, right? They know that we say that, so that becomes a marketing hook to get people to place more action. So every one of these events, we get these betting sponsors that reach out that are like scared but interested. They're like that one kind of like, hey, like, you think we could make this work? It's always a fun conversation, but I digress. The last part of this blog, it's a big one. They finally gave us an update.
Stuck in a little doozy down here.
on, Dota TV and streaming rights. Apparently Valve has been listening to this discussion, and it did explode. It boiled over a little bit with Kyle and Sing Sing.
Kyle blew that one.
Yeah. Well, and Kyle's tune has changed a little bit. Now that he's on the TO side, I think he sees it from a slightly different perspective. I kind of agree with this newfound perspective a little bit more, but I saw Scant and a few others sort of trying to rake him over the coals because he's changed his mind. And it's like, well, yeah, people grow and, they see more data.
Yeah, but then he apologized right after, too.
Yeah.
He said it was wrong for him to attack Sing Sing.
Yes. Well, no, the Sing Sing thing specifically, he lashed out for sure. And Sing Sing definitely antagonized him with like, looks like a free content kind of day. Sing is like that's his vibe. That's what he does.
Yeah, but
He's
everyone,
like
I guess Kyle was unaware that everyone's been tweeting that every day for the past 2 years.
I guess.
They both always
exactly.
call it free content.
Oh, yeah, I know. It's a meme.
Like,
it's a meme now. That's the thing. That's why it seems so stupid to single out Sing as if
I can get why it upsets Kyle because he's like dying doing this event, like sending me messages at like, he stopped typing to me. He just started sending me the voice memos because he's like, I can't type into my phone anymore. I'm sorry for the voice memo. And then he would just like go on with whatever he was trying to say. That's how done Kyle is, guys.
Yeah, I feel for him. I've run events, dude. Every like Midas mode it's like a life-changing event where you push yourself to the limit and he feels like everything goes wrong. Like you
guys know how the presidents always look awful after their term and they gray and their skin just starts to dry and they look like they're dying. That was those post dirt mall pictures of Slacks where he always takes the selfie when it's done. That's like super accurate, and that's a 1 or 2 day affair, right? Can you imagine doing that for a whole month or 2 months or however long he's been working on this shit? Yeah.
So anyway, that's part of why this boiled over and the whole conversation got reignited again. I remember typing in Sniff Central, the Discord, like, I don't know what else to say here, guys. We're mulching over the same shit. So Valve has said now, starting September 15th, so we're like a week out, they're going to update the Dota license, and it's going to have these new print. I'll just read it verbatim. Organizers that run Dota 2 tournaments will have to provide community streamers with a reasonable and simple-to-execute set of non-monetary requirements, such as displaying the organizer's sponsors on their streams or having a slight delay on the games. Community streamers will be able to use the Dota TV feed in their broadcast as long as they agree to these requirements. We believe this will provide more certainty and confidence to the community streamers. They'll be able to cast without turmoil. At the same time, that'll protect some key interests that tournament organizers have, And then it goes on to say, to avoid possible last-minute issues, we do suggest that casters that want to stream a tournament coordinate with the organizer in advance to ensure they're able to fulfill the requirements presented.
And then feel free to reach out to us.
And then give us your feedback, yeah. So I guess I'm curious, what was your first thought when you read that new license TLDR?
All right, I have always been saying that, at least most recently that I can remember in terms of my positions, that I do want community streamers. I do think they should be able to do it. I agree that there's still some questions in terms of like monetization. Like, should you really just have like your sub alerts going the entire time for like hundreds of people and everything while you're streaming the game? Because that basically seems like merchandise and stuff being promoted through the game. But I can live with the sub things as long as there's not like sponsors that conflict with the tournament. La la la. I do like that for the most part.
Yeah.
I'm happy with the idea of the overlays. I think it might have been more simple to just let the TO put it in the game. I'm not sure if this is necessarily the best solution to have it this way, but it does give more options and power to the tournament organizer. It can give you a lot cleaner overlays too, not just like a couple things slapped on the ground somewhere in the map.
Yeah.
So that I do like, maybe a little bit more interactive stuff. And
so,
the idea of a slight delay, so I guess they're not allowing the option for like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
That would be a little insane.
Yeah, it's interesting that they qualified that with a slight delay. And,
yes.
you know, we'll see exactly what that means.
To me, I think it seems like a pretty good option as long as it's a classic Valve, like play it nice. But I'm hoping that TOs can find something that pleases them.
Yeah.
I'm cautiously optimistic. That's the go-to phrase when it comes to a Valve blog. But unfortunately, that's kind of all you can say because, again, it's nothing concrete. But I also don't know if you can be concrete in this statement from Valve because it's kind of not up to them in some ways. Like, unless they're going to say a hard no, they have to leave a lot of the details to the tournament organizer and the community streamer to work out.
And you want some flexibility because that gives you room to, you know, kind of do whatever you want to some degree. You know, you don't have to play within this really strict rule book like when you get a tournament license from Blizzard and it has, you know, 5 pages worth of clauses of shit that you can or cannot do and words you can or cannot say, all this kind of stuff. So I agree with pretty much that general sentiment. I also think that having this in the game, things need to be accessible to some degree. I've always said that's like why Dota Radio started. That was why I wanted to cast League of Legends. I couldn't find any way to do it. Dota was accessible with Dota TV and tickets and shit. So I committed to doing Dota Radio as Dota Radio. It was originally going to be League of Legends Radio, you know? So I think that's really important. It gives people an opportunity to create stuff, and it helps create that feedback loop of bringing more.
You could be in Kia Motors times LEC
Dude,
Tronic now.
Imagine.
If you had only gone the other way.
Imagine. I mean, I did like Dota more, but I thought League was more popular, and I had a better chance of succeeding at League because it was more established at the time. You got to remember this is 2013, so Dota was still like, you know, beta game.
TI 3.
Yeah, exactly.
No big TI.
So it is really important, but I also see the TO side of it, and I think you know, the current state is rough. My big beef with this is twofold. What is reasonable and simple to execute?
To me, it is overlays like the exact same ones that are on the mainstream. I think that's completely reasonable, and I think if you want to do a video play before the game, I think that's pretty reasonable too, to be honest.
Okay. So here's a few others for you. How about turning off sub stuff? So there's no sub pop-up, no sub overlays.
That is where you get into the difficult territory.
Is that reasonable? How about bot in the chat spamming sponsor links? Is that reasonable?
Spamming whose links?
The tournament saying if you want to stream our event, you need to use the overlays and you have to put this sponsor's link in your MooBot every 5 minutes or whatever it is. All right, how about button below the Twitch stream? Same as an overlay. You've got to clear out under your Twitch stream and replace it. Like go to the BTS Twitch. It's very clean. It's specific buttons. It's designed that way to draw attention to the sponsor's buttons, right?
Yeah, I think button is pretty reasonable. But I don't think button's a big deal.
Well, adding a button isn't a big deal.
How long does that take? 2 minutes to set
No,
up?
no, but think about a normal, like Slack's stream. There's all this text, all these rules, all your top donors. Is it reasonable to say you have to remove all of that and put on our profile of buttons where it links to all the tournament social media tournaments.
I think you could have one button is reasonable. I don't think taking care of the entire streamer's thing is reasonable.
Is 2 buttons reasonable? Now, how about is 5 buttons reasonable?
I can give you 2 buttons and a bot.
So that's what I'm. So it becomes a negotiation. But who holds the cards? Ultimately, now, if you're a tournament organizer and say this is what we want, those things we just listed out, 5 buttons, MooBot with everything, logos, and verbal shout outs in every game. You got to give 2 plugs to our sponsors every game. That's what they lay out as our reasonable, simple to execute, non-monetary set of requirements. Streamer says, I'll do 3 of the 5, but I'm not going to do all 5. And then the TO says, nope, it's all 5 or nothing. Who holds the cards at the end of the day? Is it the streamer that gets to do it de facto because they disagree, or does the organize? Is there a caked-in incentive?
They're gonna, if they really get into a big squabble, then Valve will have to have a personal.
Have to decide. So that's what I mean.
Yes.
Who's the arbiter and who gets to decide, right? Like, is it the tournament organizers that really benefit from this, or is this just going to create more red tape? Because there might be an incentive there for tournament organizers to make the reasonable list of requirements as close to unreasonable as possible to deter people from wanting to do it because they still want viewers on their main stream.
That won't work, though, because you still have the big ones. Like Gork, Bulldog, they're still going to want to stream the games, and so they're the ones who you need to keep on your good side. As funny as that is, you don't want them to get super mad at your tournament. You want to ride the line of keeping them like mildly happy, because if they take a stink to Valve, you're going to lose.
I guess, but even just between those two parties, defining what's reasonable is not particularly easy. I wouldn't want to sign a contract that says like, hey, we're going to figure this out later based on, a reasonable discussion of the finances. Like, okay, yeah, you're not going to try to min-max me and I'm not going to try to min-max you. Get the fuck out of here. That's how business works.
I would consider verbal plugs unreasonable, personally. I don't think you should ever be able to make a streamer say something like, and don't forget to go to EGB.com. I think putting a graphic is very different than... Because a graphic is associated with the tournament, but you doing verbal plugs and stuff, I think is over the line.
I just think it's interesting. So what happens when ESL and Bulldog have that discussion, and ESL says we don't want you to do anything but verbal plugs, and Bulldog says I'll do anything else, but I'm not doing verbal plugs, and they're at a complete impasse, and they're both saying
Valve will rule in Bulldog's favor.
Hey, I'm very reasonable because I'm offering this. Hey, I'm really reasonable because I'm offering this. Yeah, that'll be fun.
Valve will take the path of least resistance. Yes, it's not going to be fun, but I think that...
So we're doing this without a community manager in charge of decide. Like, we need an arbiter is what I'm fucking getting at here, Trent. We need a goddamn arbitration leader, a moderator.
I'm okay with all of this bullshit because it means we get to keep community streamers. Do you know what the easy thing for Valve to do is? To say no. They just say, okay, no community streamers. That's the easy thing to do.
Well,
right?
Yeah,
Isn't
nobody
that
wants
the
that.
easy way out?
Right. But that would be too... Well, not really, because it would be too much of an uproar.
I mean, would it? The argument would just go away. It would just be like, oh, well,
kinda.
We won. The TOs were losing money. It's over.
Eventually, but it would
be... Now you guys have to just stream replays or something.
It would be a big hit
First
to Valve.
They came for the live games.
Valve loves short-term, for sure.
What do you think Noob from UA is doing during all this? Is he just sitting in a corner like, oh my God?
Well, I mean, exactly, though. That's like... It's just reasonable and simple is such a loaded phrase. I kind of don't know what it means. And I can very see these, because like, remember what Kyle said about Gork, where he said, hey man, I tried to include you in this. I talked to your agent. I went back and forth with them. We couldn't come to an agreement of how to include you in this where it still checks the boxes for our sponsors. I don't know. I wasn't privy to those conversations. I don't know if Gork thinks Kyle was being reasonable, but...
I don't know. Gork, all I heard is that Gork said Kyle, how many times does this guy have to lie or something? So I don't know what the story is. I did not read or pay attention to any of that shit because I don't even want to talk about it.
Well, no, I don't want to. I'm just like, mostly in specific reference to what Crunchbite said of like, what you're saying sounds really rare and hypothetical and doesn't warrant the banning of community streamers. Again, I don't want to ban community streamers. I'm just trying to think more than a step ahead about where could this go wrong and how can we like be prepared and get ahead of it before we get into an impasse and it blows up and somebody just starts rogue streaming a tournament and then they get DMCA'd and then they get wrongfully taken down. Like, I don't want that to happen. I want there to be a system where we know what the rules are so we can come to reasonable agreements. I'm doing air quotes right now.
I think it's coming.
I hope so. I do think this is a step forward.
It's a lot of painful steps. It's just like the first time with the Valve is the only one that can DMCA. Boom. We finally got over that hump.
Yes.
So now that's on the official rules. So Now we just need someone to cross the line here with the verbal plug requirement, and now we will have the official rules. Why can't those be set beforehand? That's an issue, but yeah.
And like, how do betting sponsors fit in with this, right? Because these are non-DPC events. If a tournament says, hey, you have to show odds once per game for 10 seconds, and the streamer says, well, my religion says betting's wrong, so I can't do it. Like, does that side in favor of the TO?
I guess.
You don't get to. Can they claim religious status and that it's not? It's because that, I mean, there are things like that where you get leeway or exceptions because
someone has .gg bet in their name while playing the game as a pro.
I'm just saying, man, it's all fucking gray area. When you read this and go, oh, this is pretty simple. There's a lot of different scenarios you can come up with pretty quickly of like, who gets to decide if they say you don't have to do anything but betting odds and they say I'll do anything but betting odds. That's and what's reasonable with betting? Is showing odds a reasonable thing to ask? I don't know. I think you could make an argument that showing betting odds is very intrusive and not a reasonable request, similar that you were saying verbal plugs are kind of an unreasonable request in this relationship.
I don't think live odds is unreasonable.
It's pretty like a lot of people have offers to take on betting sponsors that turn it down because of the optics, because they don't want to endorse gambling. It's not an issue for DPC events, but for these non-DPC events, it's a thought. So to wrap it up, I guess definitely a step forward. I don't want to be too cynical. I guess my thought in bringing up all this shit is just to hammer home this dialogue of we need to think about what reasonable means and how we can set those expectations so we don't end up in another drama corner of, I don't want to see somebody get wrongfully DMCA'd on Twitch. That's not going to be good for any of us. It's a shitty story. It's shitty optics. It's just not good.
My go-to solution was to say we should have a 10-minute delay option in Dota TV lobbies. I'm in 100%. Every community streamer will be 10 minutes behind for a LAN event. Unfortunately, for all online events, though, we might need 15 minutes because then they'd be 10 minutes behind. Even 5 minutes delay is going to ruin any community streamer in terms of like the big audience. Like, I think that would be pretty reasonable as well. But in the end, now that we have these new rules, because those rules my pretend rules don't matter.
Hey, well, you got 7 days left there, bud. So go crazy.
7 days left of what?
This doesn't go in effect till September 15th.
Oh, I thought it was January.
It's September 8th.
I actually didn't realize it was so soon. Okay,
yes. No, you got a week, buddy. So go crazy. Stream whatever you want.
Streaming some tournaments. So what I would say is that if you're a tournament organizer who obviously all listen to our podcast, you should be compiling your overlays in an extremely simple zip folder on your Google Drive, and you should have a link for either they can email you for it or you can publicly leave it on. That's probably better. Just publicly put it somewhere on your website. They can download it, put a little dot text thing showing what the overlay should look like in the end. That's easy.
Yeah.
Do that. Who knew it could be so simple, guys?
Yeah, I think that is a gap for sure. I hate it when tournaments send you, hey, here's a folder of all of our raw assets. You can build something, right? Dude, send me the dummy-proofed final product. Send me transparent 1080p images so I can drag and drop. Everything's placed exactly how you want it. We don't have to go back and forth on, this thing's not pixel perfect. You need to move this. That's on you, man. You have the power to make this really easy and unfuck-upable. So I'm sure Moonduck's fucked that up as well. It's tempting. It's hard, but you can really set up the overlays, like you said, to just throw it in a folder and say, all right, here it is. This is the production package, and it's organized and labeled so that you can follow. Think about a Photoshop file. When you label it Mott style, where every folder is gibberish and every layer is just a bunch of random characters, it gets really hard to follow with even just like 2 folders compared to labeling everything out with very nice text. You want to document your code in real life. That's what I'm getting at here. Let's take a note from the programmers. Shout out to Pop-Tart.
Our hero. I miss Pop-Tart. Man, I miss LA. I had the blues yesterday. Just thinking about how I'm not going to go back to LA, and who knows. So when do you think I'll get to go to LA again?
I don't know.
Realistically.
When we were driving across Nebraska, I thought about that story you told me about driving in LA and seeing a corpse on the side of the road and how that was peak LA. And then I thought the same thing. Man, when am I ever going to get to go back to LA? I don't know. I feel like I would drive to a BTS event or something if I don't know. Is it that crazy that you'll never go back to the BTS studio?
Well, not never, but it could be like over a year.
I think a year. TI 21 qualifiers, maybe 9 to 10 months. We'll be there doing a hub.
I hope so, man. I love going. Call guy's even back. Hi, call guy. Dude, I want to come. I don't care. Fuck the fires.
Dakota,
well, maybe not.
We're
with the
ready
fires.
for a Dota hub. We're ready to support you, buddy. I'm ready to leverage the Moonduck assets in your favor if you can just help us do Dota in North America. Please, buddy.
Guys,
we need
it. This is the life of Trent when he goes to a BTS hub, all right? He sits in his hotel room only for sleep. I sleep. I get like 6 to 8 hours, and I go right back to the studio. And there's beanbags and PCs and Melee. And snacks. There's everything. It's like heaven. It is basically heaven. There's everything
food.
I could ever dream of.
Yeah, dude. We're throwing Netflix on the big
basketball
TV.
net.
Playing soccer in the studio. Rob's got a guitar. I mean, you can really do anything. They're building a creative commune, really, more than a studio at this point.
It's basically a hippie haven. Yes, clearly.
Yes. So, we're moving forward with Dota. It's nice. I always hate to sound too cynical. It'll be interesting to see how some of this shakes out. And especially now that we've got these organizations that are like endorsing tournaments, and then streamers are part of these organizations. We can't forget, Gork didn't just, part of what bubbled it over too was he left OG over this because the teams have a stake in the tournament. That's part of why Bulldog wasn't streaming, because Alliance owns a piece or whatever. So they're not trying to cannibalize their own products, which is a smart move from Omega League, but also good on Gork for recognizing, like, hey, I've got some leverage here. I've got a valuable audience. I don't need this shit.
It makes me wonder what the payment was from OG. I mean, I guess maybe it was more so about this idea of collaborating and, like, doing the LAN events, as they said, where he was going to be, like, traveling with them. But I would have thought that it was a bigger sponsorship cash-wise.
Yes. And
that
I don't know.
He can't just play Dota.
Twitch deals are weird.
The tournament.
Because I had talked to some folks that were like, we were friends with a gentleman that shall not be named that was on the EG streaming contract, and I heard it was pretty generous in terms of their relationship, and like it wasn't just, hey, I get ad revenue. There's like a contract there, and you're basically employed by the organization to be a full-time streamer, and you get paid regardless of viewers. Like you have a guaranteed floor with a lot of those arrangements and stuff. So I would imagine it should be like that with Gork. Maybe it was a co-branding kind of crossover thing. He just wants to leverage their Twitch deal. But when you're a big streamer like that, you don't really need somebody else's Twitch deal. You can rally a bunch of streamers and start your own Twitch deal if you want. So maybe it was similar to the Shared Tangos thing, where the whole concept was based on events and the behind-the-scenes footage and like doing physical things, because that was a really underserved market. And without that there, it's like, all right, well, now this relationship makes no sense. Online, I can just do all this myself. I'm at home anyway. But good on Gork for recognizing his worth, and going out on his own. Definitely, it's hard to do, man. I respect you got to put your foot down and stand up for yourself. Arcana, one of the last things we're going to talk about.
Okay, so I gotta say, guys, this Arcana's getting to me. I've kind of been waiting to talk about this. Fuck. Windranger, I think, is she really still my most played hero? I must have spammed so much Windranger when I first started playing. She's still my most played at 227 games, and I haven't played her in a year. I've not played what? That's insane.
Wow. I've played a decent amount of Windranger games. Like 100.
Fuck.
Something like that.
I mean, I used to play her constantly. I played so
fun.
much Windranger offlane when it was like meta. God. So yeah, she's still my most played despite not playing Windranger an entire year. And I really want to go back to playing that hero now. She like feels kind of good again. And this Arcana, guys, it's good.
So this one, they really went all out. It's an amazing looking cosmetic. It's completely different spell animations. She's, what is it? A Force Staff and Yules also have different animations. She's got particles flying everywhere. I played around with it in demo mode and was somewhat taken aback, I would say. The Compass of the Rising Gale.
Yeah, it is a extremely impressive Arcana. Like, I think everyone's kind of blown away. Unfortunately, I've only gone up to 100 and some. Like, I bought the 100 Battle Pass, and I haven't even played that much because I've been casting so much, as well as just, like, been with the kids so much because of COVID. But, yeah, it's... if the Immortal 3 is going to be the big one for me, if it's good, then I'm probably going all in.
You might do it.
Yeah.
Dude. All right. So I wanted to make a video of me talking about Nisha. I gotta hire somebody to go back and edit all of the Trent Packs Windranger thoughts because I've checked in with you every podcast and you've just slowly progressed. Well, I might. I'm gonna wait to see it. And now here we are, guys. I might go all in.
Yeah. It's if Immortal 3 doesn't have like heroes that I like though.
Okay.
That'll be that might just because like it's only one hero. So I can't justify spending the 258 Canadian that it requires, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
To currently get it.
Yeah. The other thing too, I always forget about this, is that if you go by the trees when she has Wind Run on, the trees move, right? They like so. As Zeph is pointing out, this is the first one that's actually interactive with the map itself, and that's a cool little. God damn, dude. That's the kind of shit that makes Dota kind of feel real a little bit when you're playing it. You know, it's those little touches that add to the world. I also really like the unlockable style. The Reflections of the Gale, the like red version. I think like that makes me want to buy it and grind Windranger and kill people with focus fire. Like,
yeah, that's
shit.
what really sold it to me for sure. Was the fall
so
version.
sick.
Yeah.
I'm level 322 right now, Trent. Should I do it?
Oh damn! Look at you. You got the meme.
I've been grinding.
Too.
I've actually been playing. I've been playing more party Dota over the last like month or so. So I've just been playing with friends.
You were
stuff.
such a hater. Such a party Dota hater.
I was, and then solo queue really got to me. It made me feel like a worse person. So I went back to party Dota, and it definitely helped. It also made me play better. It's this weird thing when you're playing solo too much. If you play with people that are a little better than you, they naturally coach you into helping you catch your bad habits. You know, like they vocalize. I'm like, dude. Like I realized the biggest mistake that I've been making that is easy to fix is after you win a team fight, you always want to do something, but you have to be careful because you don't have any of your shit. You know, you just use your BKBs, you use your ults, you use your stuns. I think I have thrown a lot of games by encouraging my team to do follow-ups when we don't have our stuff. It's like you want to kill them and then reset. Kill them and reset. Don't kill them and try to end every fucking team fight. And having that hammered in me through 50 party games has definitely helped me see it more clearly in pubs of like, guys, let's just take a step back. It's cool. Let's wait for a Photic Shield to come back before we go in. You know, that kind of shit.
Yeah, I'm on the Dota hunt for this week. After this podcast, this is like my only scheduled thing until I think if we do future tournament the 20th.
Ooh, yeah. Okay.
So I got 12 days of the boys in daycare. Oh.
I'm just looking at this Arcana right now, and the marketing is working on me. I feel like I'm looking at the new iPhone. Like, I don't need to upgrade, but this one is really nice. I don't need to upgrade my Windranger, but man, if I do. So here's the fundamental question, though, buddy. Will it be tradable? Can I buy this a year from now instead of leveling up my battle pass?
I guess there is still some mystery there, right? Does it still not say will be unavailable?
I don't know. Twitch chat, we're crowdsourcing you a little bit here because I think this is a big decision maker, and maybe it's purposefully not been totally revealed.
I feel like there would be so much backlash if it was available later, but I don't remember them ever saying it's exclusive to the Arcana.
I don't either.
Unlike to the Battle Pass, rather, whereas all the other ones said it was exclusive.
Because it's a marketing tool. I mean, if that makes more people want to buy it if you know it's exclusive and you can only get it now. So, but then you have to wonder too, even if it is available later, what are they going to be worth? And is it an investment, right? I'm already at level 300. If you consider that a sunk cost, is it an investment to get this and then maybe be able to sell it later if the price, if it becomes tradable? Am I nuts?
I don't think it would ever become tradable. That's not going to happen. The question is, will they be able to sell it in like 2 years?
Oh, like you can just buy it again from the store.
Yes.
I see.
And
okay,
I think it'll come out with like a $50 price tag, but it's like 2 years later or whatever.
Oh, because then you'd feel shitty about spending $200 on the battle pass instead of $30 for just the Arcana.
Right, but then after 2 years, you can kind of be like, well, now everyone can get this Arcana. Like maybe they can't get the second style or something. Would be maybe a fair compromise, right? Like what if
Meow is right.
Can only have the default one.
FOMO is extremely powerful. You're so fucking right.
Every single company abuses it. From games to anything else.
Yeah, you're totally right.
Yeah, FOMO's the hot shit.
It's just caked into
guys,
human psychology.
I have some pretty exciting news. Hold on. Look at this. Are you ready for this one?
I am ready.
Oh, where are you going?
Oh,
hey.
Shit.
Oh, I'm sorry. Are you guys
Rising up. Don't mind me and my standing desk.
Look at
Dude,
you
my
refitting the home office.
My life has been so improved by this thing, I can't even begin.
Wow.
One game up, one game down is like, oh, dude, these basement Dota casts where it's like getting kind of hot down here and it's 3 a.m. and I'm on no sleep. Stand up is just like fucking god tier. I cannot recommend this enough. Like,
really worth the investment, huh?
So insanely worth. Like,
how much was that one with the motor?
I went for a pretty decent brand. It was the Progressive desk.
Like $500 or something.
It came to like just under 1,000 for everything.
All right.
Yeah.
I've had people go for the budget ones, like with the crank, and it always breaks. Always breaks.
I read a lot of reviews and did a shitload of research before I committed.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm here now.
Damn, dude, that's pretty badass. That makes me think a little bit. Maybe I need to upgrade.
Oh, that's a good idea. Secondhand surplus. That's a very good idea.
Ooh.
That's worth looking into. Like, what's that chair that you got?
The Herman Miller. I got those secondhand. Those were good.
That's really fucking smart, actually. But yeah.
God, now I'm actually really tempted to buy the Windranger Arcana. Twitch chat, can we get some polling here? Can we get like a 1 for yes, 0 for no? Are you?
It's always gonna be a yes.
Who has it? I want to see who's bought it. If you have the Windranger Arcana, hit us with a 1. Hit us with a 1.
Can I hit a 0 if I don't?
Yeah, you can hit a 0 if you don't. I guess you can do a 0.5 if you don't have it yet, but you're thinking about it. Archie says, I have it. That's great.
He doesn't type the 1.
Wow. So we've got, that's a decent amount of 1s. Not enough money. Yeah, there's some 0s in there too. But that's, it's a pretty bitchin' Arcana. I kind of feel like I want to join this team. I want an excuse to play Windranger. I don't know, man. I hate losing to Windranger in my pubs. I ban her because I feel like she's a noob cannon. She's so easy to play mid and just destroy people that don't know how to play mid. She's, you hit some decent power shots. Focus fire is pretty good against a lot of mid. You ever seen Windranger versus Zeus? You ever see her just run up on him and a dipshit Zeus try to run away from it? It never ends well. Hopefully that Windranger's on your team.
It's so hard to justify, though, because like for someone like me who just hasn't spent the money yet, it's only one hero. That's why the other immortals matter so much to me, if it's going to be worth it.
If you were level 300 right now, would you go for it?
Well, as Zeph has pointed out several times, the 50 level bundle comes in the Immortal 3.
Oh.
So you should be waiting either way.
Okay. Yes. All right. I'm going to wait. That's...
Yeah.
Yo, Zeph with the clutch 0.5. Dude, look at all the fish that hit the 0s and the 1s. We got Zeph here with the big brain.
Because that's the whole point, right? Is that they want you to get close to then buy the next levels. So at least wait until you get close.
Okay. I mean, if you grind, it actually does unlock pretty fast. I haven't even really been doing Cavern Crawl that much. I just play whatever I want, and if I happen to get one, cool. But, I play based on instinct.
So, for example, for me, I'm gonna get I'm not just buying Windranger if I upgrade. I'm gonna get everything. I don't think I have any of the big unlocks. I don't even have Queen or any mage.
I think I have Queen. I forget what level she is. I just got anti-mage because it popped up. I remember getting it. Not that I play
I think it ends on the 17th, right? So 9 days. Does that sound right?
The Battle Pass does?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
17th,
and Immortal 3 is not out yet?
No.
Dude, they're definitely going to extend it.
It's past TI, dog.
They're definitely going to extend it. When does Immortal 3 usually come out? Is it usually this late?
No, it's usually before TI.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So there's no way it's going to, because just in terms of people buying it, upgrading levels, you need I don't know. This is getting...
Yeah, I don't know.
So it's like, what, we're going to buy it and then the battle pass ends immediately? Like, oh, that's cool. Oh, we're going to be digging in every game. All right. Or summon portals or whatever the hell it is this season.
I miss summoning portals. I did all mine too fast.
Well, I know, me too. And now I'm like, fuck, I'm going to buy 200 levels to get this fucking Windranger Arcana, and then I'm not going to be able to use all my portals. It's not hype to get battle pass points a week before the battle pass ends.
I got to play some Labyrinth.
Spectre versus Void. Arcana vote. The final showdown. We're in the finals. I mean, this isn't that hype because it's going to be revealed at TI in a year.
What? No, they're going to reveal it earlier than that, dude. I know it says that. There's no way. They're going to reveal it in a week or two, I would guess.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll do a hero reveal and Arcana special stream.
I think Spectre's winning 100%. If I were in Vegas, I'd go Spectre.
Do you think? But Void's so much more popular all time.
All time, but
And he is the Mace of Eons.
I don't know. I
don't know.
I think I'm just projecting my wishful thinking. I like Spectre more. I think there's so much cooler potential with a spectral these like Wisp, these corporeal sort of heroes.
What would she even be?
I don't know.
What can you do to Void? I feel the opposite. I feel like what can you even do to Spectre? I feel like Void, you can do anything.
They'll probably make her fiery.
I also voted Void because I'm salty about Witch Doctor too.
I went 60 votes on Spectre. I just don't want Void in all my games, dude. Void to me is the ogre. You never get multicast. Everyone else gets multicast. My Voids never hit Chronos. The enemy Voids always hit the Chronos.
I would
Fuck
way rather
Void.
play against Void every game than Spectre every game.
Although
Spectre lets me pick on dying every game.
Well, but I'd rather have Spectre on my team than Void on my team in most games, right? So it kind of equals out. If we're only talking about enemies, yes. But it's like, who's going to be... If 70% of games, would you rather have the coin flip of 70% of the time Spectre being there and it's equally on your team or the other team? I'd rather see Spectre in most games because I want Spectre on my team, and I'll buy a Silver Edge and poop on her.
Can we just get the Vengeful Spirit Arcana / Persona already? I want to see a live Vengeful Spirit.
I'm just bummed about Witch Doctor.
Skywrath Mage.
I wanted the Zookeeper Witch Doctor so bad.
Yeah, that would
I know we didn't deserve it, but I really wanted it.
I know. Okay, what the hell is this, by the way? I saw this when you sent me the notes at the very bottom.
Yes, you did.
What the Tencent and Tim Hortons?
So, this is pretty crazy. Let me Google it because there is a news article about this. But this is like the most epic crossover of all time. Tencent is partnering up with Tim Hortons. Now, the basis of this is that Tim Hortons, you have to partner with a Chinese company to operate in China if you're a foreign company. So if Tim Hortons goes, hey, we want to hit some of this Chinese market, how do we expand there? They got to partner up. So their angle was to partner with Tencent and open this chain of coffee shops where it's a gaming esports themed cafe. And I don't think there's it's not like a PC bang, it's a coffee shop, but it's like, branded for esports. And they're just, now it's Hortons. It's not Tim Hortons, it's just Hortons. And I think it made recent headlines because they announced it a while ago, but I think they've opened the first one or they've built the first one or something. But they've committed to 1,500 of these things in China. Are you ready? Next time we go to China, we are going to a Hortons Tencent crossover, dude.
Actually, I saw one when we were in Shanghai, and the employees wear red flannel.
Really?
Yeah, which made me laugh. Like they wear lumberjack flannel.
Wow, that's pretty stereotypical. I like it.
Yeah, it was great. It really had me cracking up. Yeah, but Tim Hortons coffee's awful. And yes, they're also owned by the Brazilian megacorp that owns like Wendy's and all that shit.
So that's the thing.
It's
like
really Canadian.
Tim Hortons is just progressively gone downhill, and it's selling out more and more and caring about quality less and less. So, it's right up Tencent's alley, really. I think it's a natural partnership. That's the recent article, and in there it has a picture of one of them, Trent, if you want to see what it looks like.
I do see. We're looking at the same one. I'm guessing. Oh, you put it in Twitch chat.
This is. I got the Jinx TV one. They've got a picture of the outside. So, I'm sorry. It's called Tim's, not Hortons. My bad. So it's a big maple leaf logo with Tim's on it. Minimal Tencent branding, and then the inside is just a lot of nice chairs, close tables, and they've got TVs for like.
I heard the doors were hockey
sticks,
parties. And now I see that. Yeah.
Oh wow! I didn't even notice that, dude. Hockey stick doors.
Yeah, nice.
I'm glad I own Tencent stock, dude. Can I buy Tim's stock in preparation of the massive profits they're going to make from breaking into the Chinese market? Is Tim Hortons public? I guess probably under that big brand.
Wow, that is crazy.
Holy shit, dude. Tim's, the stock price has been going crazy.
Tim's stock price.
Tim's is up, dude. They're up like 100% in the last oh wait, no, that's a while ago. Oh god,
that doesn't sound right.
Yeah, no, that's old. That's way old. I don't know why it's still showing up, but yeah, what a crossover, dude. What a crossover. So look forward to that. You can see the Tencent Esports logo there. That's the Chinese characters. I just love the giant maple leaves. I love that Tim's is like using the Canadian maple leaf as marketing in China. That really cracks me up.
That's always been their whole thing. It's always rubbed me really the wrong way. How much they
does it feel like appropriation?
Try and use patriotism to sell. Like they try and be like, yes, we are Canadian. Like we're Canada's coffee. If you don't drink us, there's like this idea that you're less Canadian. Like that's kind of what they try and hit you with, which is very strange.
I see. It's manipulative marketing.
You should have seen the commercials they had growing up too. Like they're all these like feel good Canadian family moments and like all about hockey and like guys, I can like remember so many of them being on when I'd watch as a kid.
Wow.
Yeah, I've always definitely been griped about that one.
Yeah. Also, as one last little note unrelated to esports, did you see the latest tennis drama? You see Djokovic got ejected from the Open? He was the favorite to win it because Nadal and Federer are both not participating. He's been undefeated, and he got DQ'd from the whole tournament.
Yeah, Djokovic is one of those guys that I wish I'd never learned about him outside of tennis.
Why? Is he not a cool dude?
Yeah, he's a total douchebag, anti-vax, anti-science, 5G, COVID moron.
Really?
Yeah, he's a total dipshit.
Wow, I've never
Djokovic.
looked into his political leanings.
Yeah.
Wow. I was reading about that. You know, he ditched the press conference, too, afterwards, and they fined him $20,000 for ditching the press conference because it's required if you participate in the Open.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. And it was
Even though he got eliminated?
Yep. And it was a $10,000 fine for whatever the name of the infraction he broke, reckless ball hitting or whatever the fuck it is. And then he had to give back all the prize money he'd already won, which was like $250,000. So, yeah, he was pretty salty, I suppose. But, man, esports is not the only place that has drama, dude. You think our Twitter fans are bad? You should read the vitriol of tennis fans. It was just as divided as all of our broadcasting rights conversations, just as hateful, just as ridiculous. Djokovic is either a hero or an absolute monster, and there seems to be no in between. You know, it's either fuck him, he should be gone, or it's not that bad. They hate him because they're, you know, they have a grudge or whatever the argument is. But it made me feel good to know that it's not just us. Is that weird? Is that like a shitty thought? Does that, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I mean, that's one of those things that like, the more you get into more and more communities, the more you see they're all so goddamn similar.
Yeah. You know,
like, you know, even you talk about PoE. PoE is a game where you don't even really play against other people, and it's still the same.
Yeah.
It's still just as vitriol and hating and awful and then there's all the good elements too, but it still can kind of surprise you just how, like, as the word is, toxic things can be.
Yeah, definitely. It's the internet's a rough spot. Yeah, as Meow was mentioning, people were attacking the person who got accidentally hit by the ball. It's like,
how dare she? Why didn't she dodge?
And when someone said, "Well,
reflexes?"
It's like your first thought when you see that is like, wasn't she a line judge? How the fuck did she get hit? And it's like, yeah, they're watching the live balls that move in a like. There's an area, you know. This was like an after play. You stop paying attention when the play's done because there's not a live ball. That's what makes it like such an infraction, because you're being reckless with just smacking shit around when you know there's people in that direction. So I don't know. It's not like she dove into the ball or something. I'm sure she did not want to be hit in the throat by a professional tennis player. That doesn't sound very fun. You know, I'm making an assumption there, but I'm going to go ahead and say she was not intentionally trying to create some sort of a situation here. But God, what a shit show. What a shit show, man. Well, Trent, it's always fun to podcast with you, buddy. My Zyori +1 series has been going great. The first 2 episodes were fantastic. They're on our podcast feed now, so I'm going to endorse it here if you guys haven't watched it. The videos are on the Zyori YouTube, but the audio is in the same place. Dakota was the guest, 2 weeks ago, the second episode number 2, and it was great. It was like 2 old guys catching up.
That's what we call esports these days.
That's esports,
what
baby.
It's slowly turning into.
So hopefully we'll be casting soon, Trent. I think we've got some stuff in the works, so that's exciting. We're driving back in a week, next Monday. So I'll be back in the studio. Going to do sub day this Friday, and then we'll be back in action. So
sub day. What time do you start sub day? Can I come?
I'm on the East Coast, so maybe a little later than usual. But hell yeah, you can come, dude. We usually play Dota, a mixture of we either queue and do like the guild stuff, or we do in-houses. Sometimes I play, sometimes I cast, and then usually we play Jackbox, and that's Kind of fun.
Oh,
Sometimes people, it's a little risky because, you know, people can type whatever they want, but it's fun when you get subs in there that are having fun with it. So, hell yeah, dude, you're always welcome.
All right. Well, as I always end podcasts with my delicious indie game and games Trent's excited about news.
Hell yeah.
Number one, Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles did not live up to my expectations, sadly. The remake of the kind of hilarious GameCube game. They basically didn't fix any of the annoying parts of the game. There are some cool additions. There's like matchmaking when you go into levels. If anyone's like played the game back in the day, which is kind of interesting and neat. But there was like so much opportunity to improve very basic functions, and they did not. So a little bit of a boo on that one from Square Enix. I'm still enjoying it. Don't get me wrong. Just don't get like insanely hyped. Number two, Spelunky 2 comes out on September 20th. Zyori, have you ever played Spelunky?
No. Spelunky.
One of my favorite games of all time. Fantastic platforming, roguelike, endless. Like, I've just been playing it again now because I'm excited for Spelunky 2, and I'm just having so much fun.
Oh, like, Spelunky.
Love that game so much. So the second one, I don't even know when the first one came out. It must have been like 2015.
Looks like an initial release date for Spelunky, according to Google, is 2008.
Oh, yeah. Then there was an updated version.
That was the 2D platformer. Was there a better one?
No, it is still a 2D platform, but I think the version that's on Steam is a little bit more fleshed out and newer than that version.
Oh, you're right. There was a remake in 2012 that was designed for the Xbox 360, and then they ported that with more updates to PlayStation 3 and PlayStation Vista in 2013, which was also ported to work on Microsoft Windows. So, Trent, you sniped it, man. Look at you with the timeline.
Look at me. But yes, super recommend Spelunky. Very fun. And the second one is coming out, so I really can't wait for that. It's going to be a good time. And then game that Trent's probably going to try today. There's a game called Star Renegades that I was checking out last night. I think some streamers had like early keys or something. But or maybe it came out early on the Switch. It's a pretty cool little like let me see. It's a dimension-spanning roguelike strategy RPG. So
I don't really know what to picture with that description.
Exactly. It's I think it's by roguelite. I believe it's like you have runs, but you gain shit over time. That's usually what people use that for.
Okay.
But it looks kind of interesting. I don't know. It's got really cool graphic art, like pixelated graphics, and it's kind of like Final Fantasy battle style of like the old school games of like turn-based. But yeah, Star Renegades. Go check it out. See if it looks neat. But yeah, I seriously can't wait for Spelunky 2. I'm trying to finish out the achievements in Spelunky 1. That's my goal before the game ends, or before the game comes out. So wish me luck.
Also, PoE League drops pretty soon. Path of Exile ready for its big update. Still waiting on patch notes to see what we're going to play. The new league is called Heist. Supposedly, this one is going to be much better for party play than the last one where everybody was planting seeds and growing crops. This gets released in 10 days, September 18th. So buckle your seatbelts, boys and girls, because it's going to be a good one. I'm looking forward to this. Planning on streaming a lot of PoE. I hope they don't nerf the spell slingers too much. I really want to try that.
All right, maybe I'll come too. Sounds fun. Ooh. I keep saying that every PO league, but now I might actually have time to play one.
Keep teasing us, Trent. You're building up the hype here.
Eventually it'll happen, right?
Yeah, there you go. All right, gang. Well, I think that'll do it. We'll catch you next time. Content Tuesdays. That's what we're trying to do these days. We got Trent and Zyori every other Tuesday, and Zyori +1 on the Tuesdays in between. Just took a week off, but driving back, and we'll be back in action. So we'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.